Hello everyone, welcome back to Airdrie Public Library Virtual Programming. So last week we were making this Pong game in Scratch, and we got our little egg bouncing around in this box between a couple of sharks. Since the last time, I made a little fix to our code here. This used to be the turn command. Let's see. Yes, this point in direction used to be the turn. The difference here is the turn will add to the direction, whereas the point in direction sets it directly. So now it'll always start at 75 degrees instead of being 15 plus the last direction it was. Alright, well, to start here, we need to fix a little bug, and that bug is we can bring our shark all the way off the screen. So we're going to have to do what's called setting some boundaries. I'm going to click on my shark, and I'm going to just move him up to where I think the furthest point he should be. And that's at Y94. Y is up and down, remember? X is left and right. So I'm going to go into controls, and we're going to pull out our handy dandy if statement. And we can put this move 10 steps in there as well. Then in operators, we're going to pull out this greater than, and in motion, we're going to pull out this Y position. Now it says when W key is pressed, if our Y position, so this number here, is greater than, we're going to say 90. Oh, I'm sorry, this should be less than. See, as I was reading that, I figured out it was wrong. Okay, so if Y position is less than 90, move 10 steps upwards. If it is not less than 90, it's going to skip everything inside this if statement, so it will not move upwards. Let's see if it works. Yep, it stops it there because we are now at 94, and that is greater than 90. So let's do the same thing with the downward. So I want it to stop about there, which is about the same. I can go into control and pull out another if statement. Move into there. And I'm going to use this greater than here. We can grab our Y position as well. Now, if our Y position is greater than negative 90, we can move 10 steps down. So let's see if that works. Yep, it works like a charm. Alright, now we have the boundary set for the shark. You can go ahead and set it for our shark 2 as well. I've already done this. It's exactly the same thing, but just this move up and down is backwards because our shark's facing the other way. So his up and down is different than this shark's up and down. Alright, so our next steps are to create the score and to detect when someone scores. So let's start with detecting when someone scores. I'm going to hit stop on here, and we're going to move this shark, or this egg, sorry, to our boundary over here. And this says x negative 221. I'm going to say if it's past negative 220, that will be a point. So it's much the same. You can grab this if statement, and I'm going to put it underneath here. You can go back to our operators and say less than. Go to our motion and grab out the X position this time. Remember that X is left and right. Now it says if our X position is less than negative 220. Then we want to score a point for right. We'll do the point scoring in a second. Let's set up the detection for the other side as well. And I think that should also be just positive 220. Will work perfectly, I think. Control, pull out this if statement. Operators, we want to go greater than. Motion, our x position. We can say 220 on that as well. So now we get to do the fun stuff, and that is counting score. I'm going to go into variables, and we're going to make a variable here. This variable will be called points right, and then I'm going to make another one called points left. And now when someone scores, I'm going to change, so this is when left side scores, left side points will change by 1. So that means it'll add 1 to left side points. And the same thing for this, but we're going to change points right by 1. All right, let's see if this works. So score there, and oh no, it's backwards. Okay, so points right is scoring for points left, and yeah, so let's just change these around. Points right, points left. There we go. So now when right side gets scored on, left side gets a point. Perfect. Okay, and now we're going to also do set. Pull out a couple of these set variables. And what this is called is initialization. So we're going to set these both back down to 0 when the flag is clicked. So when the flag is clicked, that's like a restart of the game, and it'll set everything back to 0. But let's see. So when this egg bounces off the wall, we don't really want it to bounce when they score a point. We want it to maybe stop for a second and then get reset back to the middle. So what I'm going to do is actually separate this out and duplicate it a couple of times. And we're going to put one down here and the other one in here. And then we can put it back together. It's getting a little long now, but that's okay. So I think this one should be negative, because when we want one side to score a point, it should be going off in the opposite direction. Yeah, just like that. Now when we're scored on the right side, it goes off to the left, and when scored on the left side, it goes off to the right. Perfect. And just for readability, let's throw in a wait time in there too. So score changes, we wait for a second, and then it resets to the center. Perfect, look at that. And it works on the other side. Oh yeah. Sometimes the egg likes to get stuck, but that's okay. Adds more interest to the game. Okay, so that's our score working, but this is a little bit ugly. Let's see if there's something we can do about that. So we're going to find some sprites in this sprite thing. I'm just going to type in number, and we're going to start at 0. So we have our 0 here. I can go into costumes and add more sprites to it, actually. So I'm just going to go through here, adding each other number as a costume. So maybe I'll just do up to, what are we on now? 3 or 4? 4? Yeah. So maybe we'll just do 1, 2, 3, 4, or 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 right now. and we can add more later if we feel like we need it. And then let's actually duplicate this. All right. So that's our costumes. So each sprite has its own look, but then it can flick through all these costumes, and that can be used for animation. What we are going to use it for is easily keeping track of our score, though. So back into code, under events, I can pull out this thing. When I receive message 1, let's create a new message. I'm going to say show score. That will be our message. And I also pull out this too, because I don't want the score to be showing in the middle like this all the time. Right off the start, I think we're just going to hide it. So when I receive show score, I first of all want to show myself. Then we want to make sure it is the correct costume. So if there's 0 points, it shows 0. If there's 1 point, it shows 1. If there's 2 points, it shows 2. And you can say switch costume to okay, so we can switch to each individual costume. We can go next costume, or we can select which costume. Okay, so I don't think we're going to worry about the costume in there. We're going to instead do a different event and say when I receive message, create a new message, score left. So this is when left scores a point. We're going to go next costume. When I receive show score, we're going to show ourselves, wait a second, and then we're going to hide ourselves again. Yeah, that sounds about right. So let's do that for this as well. It shows itself for 1 second and then hides, and then when I click this, we're now doing 3. And I can go next costume, we're now doing 4. So you might be asking, well, how do we send messages? Well, there is a nice little thing for that too, called broadcast. So back in our egg, this is for left side, which is our first if statement. We're going to change the points by 1. We are going to say we're going to broadcast score left, and then we're going to broadcast show score. Now when he scores, let's see what happens. Oh, it popped up. Now we're at 1 point. Now we're at 2 points. Now at 3 points. Okay. So I think that's working. Once it goes over 4, I think it'll roll back to 0. Yep. So that's fine. Let's go back to our first one here, and we're just going to copy paste a lot of this. So I can actually grab this and pull it into this other one, and that'll just give a copy over there as well. If I go over here, everything's kind of all piled up in the corner here. So in here, we want to create a new message. We're going to go score right. And that'll say next costume. Back in the egg, we need to broadcast. We need to broadcast score right, and then broadcast show score. Just like up here, but with a different side. All right, so let's stop this. Start it again, so we're back down to 0. And look at that, 0, 0. One zero, 1 1, 2 1, 2 2. I block it. 2 3, 2 3, 4 3. And then it rolls back and down to 0. Alright, so that's working pretty well. But if I stop it and start it again, once again, we're back with the same score. So in here, and we have to initialize this just like earlier. We want to go back up to looks and say, switch my costume to glow 0. Same thing with over here. Switch my costume to glow 0. Alright. And now when we stop and start it again, they're both back down to 0. Perfect. Well, thank you so much for listening. I hope you guys learned a little bit from watching this, and you can apply this knowledge to your own games. Thanks so much for watching, and have a nice day.